On this week's UBC From Here, teaching kids about how and why the body moves.
We have a community outreach event going on for students, elementary school students in grades 4, 5, and 6. And what we're hoping to do is create an interactive and a fun environment for these students to gain an understanding and a passion for neuroscience.
Shifting learning focus to innovation and exploration.
We see Maker Day as an immersive professional development activity that introduces teachers to the notion of tinkering, designing, fabricating, and then reflection on the process to consider how they can take making into their own classrooms.
UBC Okanagan prepares to host a national competition.
The concrete toboggan competition has become a big, iconic engineering competition. What a lot of people don't realize is that it's more about applying skills that you learn in school and learning to work in teams, and that's a lot of the soft skills that people can't teach in a classroom.
And reclaiming Indigenous heritage.
What really blew me away was when I started university, starting to understand that language was so much more than just those technical little pieces that come together to make language. There's so much that goes on beyond just speaking that's related to somebody's social position.
Welcome to this week's UBC From Here. Hi, I'm Rosemary Jean Thompson. Being able to teach complex ideas in simple ways is a challenging endeavor. Recently, a group of fourth-year human kinetics students were tasked with creating mini physiology experiments to teach school-aged children about bodies in motion.
I've always been interested in science, and this is really enforcing it.
My favorite subject in science is the human body, and I love seeing how it works and how your mind controls everything a part of your body.
We have a community outreach event going on for students, elementary school students in grades 4, 5, and 6. And what we're hoping to do is create an interactive and a fun environment for these students to gain an understanding and a passion for neuroscience. And it's organized and run by the Human Kinetics Neuromuscular Physiology class. So all the stations, the day, the logo, the name, everything was developed by students within this particular class.
Today's just about community involvement. We're trying to get young kids to come in, We're trying to teach them about neuromuscular physiology, really get them excited about what they're going to do in the future. We want to get these kids involved early and get them into sciences, right? And that's what we're trying to project here for them.
I think that's probably for me the greatest reward, is to see the interaction and the excitement both from the university students, figuring out how to convey what they know at a really complex level to someone else that doesn't have a university education yet, and that's elementary school kids. So by conveying knowledge to the broad population, they're gaining skill sets that they typically don't get in a classroom environment, but I think most importantly, they themselves are gaining an appreciation for what the real world offers to them when they can teach others.
We learn about the nerves and the muscle tissue and the spinal cord and how your knee reacts when it hits the tendon and the spindle reacts and up the spinal cord.
Today I've learned that every time your brain wants your muscles to move, it sends out electrical impulses that make your muscles do what you want.
I can actually remember an experience from being real young, even younger than these guys, and being in elementary school and getting to do science fairs and stuff like that. And that's really what drove me towards this kind of degree for me and into my future career, hopefully. So I'm hoping that we can do the same thing for these kids.
The Faculty of Education and District 23 have partnered together to explore the future of education.
Today we're partnering with UBC Innovative Learning Center and School District 23 to deliver a Maker Day experience.
We have elementary teachers here, we have middle school teachers and secondary school teachers, and we have librarians. And I think today is just a kind of a catalyst day, a day to bring people together to explore possibilities. People will begin conversations about how to play around with this idea back at their schools.
We see Maker Day as an immersive professional development activity that introduces teachers to the notion of design thinking, to collaborative prototyping, to tinkering, designing, fabricating, and then reflection on the process to consider how they can take making into their own classrooms is an integrated piece of a way that kids can demonstrate their knowledge beyond just paper and pencil tests or the usual sort of written assignments.
We're trying to attract non-traditional learners into trades and apprenticeship programs. So the way to do that is to provide examples of what that looks like and what that is early on in their experience. So if we can get them to have some time with hands-on tools and keep that going through the middle school years, it's really beneficial for us because more people will end up taking trades programs.
We don't tinker in our workshops the way our parents or grandparents used to. Certainly that's an aspect of our learning that I think we're missing as a society. So I think a lot of our teachers, a lot of our administrators getting a look at an opportunity to learn in this way, it gives them a chance to be able to think about how they will approach things in their own classrooms. We're certainly looking at transformation in education at the moment, and what this models is how easy it is to bring some hands-on kinds of approaches to design, to teaching, to learning into classrooms that wouldn't normally be the methodology that most teachers would adopt for teaching concepts and skills in an academic classroom.
The original seed that planted the idea of Maker Day is a recognition that increasingly youth are not getting to experience the fun and creativity of making things, tinkering, prototyping, designing. They're actually coming to universities and faculties like engineering and other applied skills faculties, never having held hand tools, never having had the joy of making or creating. Taking making into the school is an attempt to bridge that gap and go back to what makes human beings kind of special.
Since 1974, engineering students have been propelling themselves down snowy slopes on concrete sleds, vying to win the Great Northern Concrete Toboggan Race. UBC's Okanagan campus will host the 2015 event at Big White in late January.
The concrete toboggan competition has become a big, iconic engineering competition. What a lot of people don't realize is that it's more about applying skills that you learn in school and learning to work in teams, and that's a lot of the soft skills that people can't teach in a classroom. A lot of employers have done this competition and they look for this on resumes because they were a part of it and it was a big part of their undergrad careers.
The Great Northern Concrete Toboggan Race started, I believe, as 1974 or the early 70s as a battle between the University of Alberta and the University of Calgary. So they challenged each other to build a toboggan completely out of concrete, and then they met in the middle of Alberta in Red Deer, for the first time and raced their toboggans. And that was when this competition and the history was born. It's grown to encompass dozens of teams from various universities and colleges who meet every year to race their toboggans down the hill, and it's an amazing experience.
The general requirements behind the competition are the sled has to be 300 pounds or less. Generally you want more because the more weight helps you. Any running surface has to be made of concrete. It has to have a steering system, a braking system, and it also has to have a roll cage provided just for the safety of riders.
My experience in the competition has been really positive. I originally was involved with our first year in Calgary, and then I've been able to help out a little bit for subsequent years, and it's such a great competition that's really rewarding to be involved in. We're really lucky that we have such a strong research history here at UBC Okanagan. Several professors here are actively researching not only green concrete and sustainable concrete, but also green and sustainable building materials. In many ways, we're able to leverage that research and some of that knowledge. We're very lucky to have access to some of the best minds, some of the latest research, and some of the best infrastructure in the country, or the world for that matter, to be able to have our mixed design and build a really remarkable toboggan each year.
UBC Okanagan hosting the 2015 competition is huge. I mean, as a new school in the competition and a new school in general, We're really making leaps and bounds in sort of the engineering community from the School of Engineering and making a name for UBC and of course our own campus in the Okanagan. And this competition is just going to show that. It's going to be the 4th year that the school has had a team in that competition, and to host it is just a huge leap for us, and we're hoping it's going to be one of the best ones ever. It's going to be the first time competition's been in Kelowna, and we think it's a really unique opportunity to highlight Kelowna and UBC Okanagan as a whole.
This is a very large event itself, and there's a large impact on the community. Not only do we bring 400 to 500 students from across Canada to the Okanagan who are impacting the community in terms of food and other services, it also is a great way of showcasing what the Okanagan is about to a bunch of students who are about to go start their professional careers, considering where to live, where to work, and where to play. It's really important that we're hosting this competition for a few reasons. First of all, it's such a great Canadian tradition that UBC has been taking part of for many years for our UBC Vancouver. So it's nice being able to show that we as a school have arrived and that we're able to bring the competition here and host it here. We also have, in a very short period of time, as a team, been able to accomplish some remarkable things, and it's really sort of a show that UBC Okanagan is a school that's of significant importance, and we've arrived.
I've always been fascinated with languages in general. I grew up in an area where both French and English were spoken. I sort of have that kind of brain where I like to pick at little details, and so language is perfect for those type of people. What really blew me away was when I started university, starting to understand that language was so much more than just those technical little pieces that come together to make language. There's so much that goes on beyond just speaking that's related to somebody's social position in the world. The way that we relate to culture has to do with language. My research project involved looking at how community wanted to promote and maintain their dialects of the Magdalen Islands. The Magdalen Islands are in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Population is about 12,000 people. It politically belongs to Quebec, even though it's kind of its own entity. There are English-speaking people there and French-speaking people there. Both communities are isolated from each other. Each community has their own separate dialect, and each dialect is unique in its own way because it developed historically separate from the other dialects. There's a lot of social change and a lot of economic change that's going on that's making people leave the islands. A big part of it is to keep that sense of home and that connection to their family and their friends and the people back home through language. Like Facebook. I took my skills of building a website and using social media and applied it to language research by incorporating the community members' voices into the research project. The neat part about using social media and research was that the content of my research, the data kind of built off of itself. I'm not necessarily in control of my own data with my own research project. It's community members that are contributing their own language, their own dialects to not just my project, but for a project that belongs to them as well. It's innovative in a way using social media because it really involves community members at different levels.
That wraps it up for this week's UBC From Here. We're going to leave you with some images from Create Week Street Festival that was hosted in downtown Kelowna by UBC and Okanagan College. For more videos from the Okanagan campus of UBC, visit ubco.tv. I'm Rosemary Jean Thompson. Thanks for watching.